So all of that rolled on, and the industrial development went on, and in the years of isolation between the late 40s, 50s, after apartheid really settled in the 60s and 70s, and well into the 80s, this group grew and grew like other major mining houses. It wasn't the largest, it was the smallest of the 5 big mining houses, but independent and successful and controlled by pyramided companies, at the top of which sat a partnership between the Menell and Hersov families, with several classes of shares at several levels, but ultimately control. And they built a house that was smaller and a bit more nimble than the bigger houses like Anglo American and Goldfields and JCI and Gencor, and able to take some risks in exploration. A very good exploration team ended up working throughout Africa, finding major fields like Bindura, the nickel mines in Zimbabwe, the Mara gold mines in Tanzania. I got involved early on in exploration throughout the continent. Hanzi, what are now the copper mines in the west of Botswana, came out of Anglo Vaal exploration. And a whole range of assets. And the big adventure after the 50s, where there was a consolidation of gold deposits in the West Rand and the Free State, was consolidating all the gold prospecting rights between the Free State goldfields and the West Rand goldfields through the Bothaville Gap, a gap in the edge of the Witwatersrand Basin. And when I came back to South Africa in 1991, a great deal of money had been spent exploring that gap, and the possibility of a new mine started to emerge, the first mine that would have been built in 20 years in South Africa. Most of the mines in South Africa were capitalized by the mining houses and listed subsidiary companies, in different pulses from the turn of the century through the 30s in the East Rand, through the 50s in the Free State and the West Rand. But between the 50s and the 70s and 80s, few mines were built because the risks and the returns eroded. Although there was a big spike in 1980, South Africa faced isolation, and the capital and the risks involved in deep-level gold mine development were generally seen as not favourable. By 1990 that looked a little bit different, once again, even though the gold price wasn't great. So those adventures continued. Anglo Vaal itself was a complex structure, but a successful investment company. Built a great reputation, hired a lot of very good people who, in many cases, left to build careers elsewhere. And if you look throughout the mining world today, here in 2012, you'll find hundreds of people who built their careers originally in Anglo Vaal, working from Mongolia to Chile, from Australia to the north of Canada, and throughout Africa, who learned their geology, their mining engineering, their financial skills in raising money for mines in the Anglo Vaal group.